Is it possible that a logo that appears almost silent, nothing but circles, nothing but lines, no slogan, no official statement, actually carries the loudest message about BTS's future? A message not spoken by Jungkook in a single word, yet capable of making millions of fans around the world stop, fall silent, and then ask in trembling voices, is this merely a design or a veiled confession? That question did not emerge from a grand press conference, not from an official agency teaser, nor from a direct admission by its creator. It was born from a simple post on Platform X by the fan account at jimochii, which shared a logo sketch titled Arirang. A name that, for the Korean people, is not merely the title of a song, but a symbol of history, collective sorrow, hope, and the journey home. Within hours, the post spread like fire touching dry paper. Not because of striking colors or luxury, but because of something far harder to explain. A sense that this logo was too honest to be dismissed as coincidence. Jungkook, the youngest member of BTS, long known primarily for his golden voice, precise stage movements, and nearly indisputable musical ability, suddenly appeared in a different form. Not as a singer, not as a performer, but as a visual creator who chose silence. And from that very silence, countless interpretations began to surface. Why is the logo so simple? Why only circles and lines? Why is it inspired by the Hangul letters, the most basic elements of the word Arirang? And the question that most unsettled many fans. Why does this design feel like a farewell message and a promise of reunion at the same time? The analysis shared by jimochii opened the first door to a deeper reading. The letter, naturally shaped as a circle, is understood as a symbol of unity, without beginning and without end, an unbroken form. Meanwhile, reduced to lines and angles represents movement, rhythm, and journey. To an untrained eye, this may seem like a simple play of shapes, but for ARMY who have lived for years alongside BTS's narratives, symbols, and hidden messages, these forms felt far too relevant to ignore. As if Jungkook was not designing a logo, but rearranging fragments of a story they had long known. Jungkook's silence only amplified the voice of interpretation itself. There was no official clarification, no lengthy explanation, no denial. All that existed was a design that looks natural, as if this form had always been this way. As written in the post's description, that seemingly simple sentence became the trigger for a new question. If everything looks so natural, could it be that this message had always been there, merely waiting for the right time to be recognized? Within the context of BTS being in a period of separation due to mandatory military service, fan sensitivity to symbols of unity has intensified dramatically. Every gesture, every work, every moment of silence carries multiplied emotional weight. When the circles and lines in the Arirang logo appear separated yet remain within a single visual unity, many fans read this as a direct reflection of BTS's own journey. They were once together, then compelled to walk separate paths, and now, though unspoken, there is a subtle signal of reunion. Yet the impact of this logo does not stop at its form. The red and blue colors associated with the design add another layer of meaning. These two colors are inseparable from the taegukgi, the South Korean flag, with its yin-yang philosophy emphasizing balance between light and dark, stillness and movement, separation and reunion. In the context of Arirang, Korea's national folk song that for centuries has carried narratives of travel, sorrow, and hope for the return of loved ones, these colors feel like an emotional bridge linking past, present, and future. To this point, many pop culture observers began to stop seeing the logo as merely a fan-made work or a visual experiment by Jungkook. It started to be read as a cultural text, one that remains open, refusing to impose a single meaning, instead giving space to the reader, here the fans, to fill in their own interpretations. For some, the logo represents the cycle of life. For others, it symbolizes the unbroken bond between BTS and ARMY, even when physically apart. And for yet others, it is a quiet tribute to Korean identity, which has always been at the root of BTS's work. Notably, all of this unfolds without Jungkook claiming anything explicitly. In the shared analysis, he is portrayed as a creative force working in silence, without pathos, without a need to prove himself. An image consistent with Jungkook's long-standing persona. someone who prefers to speak through his work rather than through statements. In an entertainment industry often filled with declarations and spectacle, this approach feels almost subversive, and precisely because of that, its impact becomes far more powerful. The flood of fan reactions beneath the post serves as tangible proof that this logo touches something deeper than mere aesthetics. Short replies bearing the name Jungkook, accompanied by emotional gifs, may seem simple on the surface. Yet behind them lies a collective acknowledgement that something is being felt, something that cannot be fully articulated in words, but is strong enough to be recognized together. When the @JKNFI Steam account hinted that this was only the first of 3 posts, a series symbolically aligned with the 3 circles in the logo, public curiosity only intensified. Is this merely fan analysis? Or is there indeed a deliberately constructed narrative structure? Is Arirang just a visual project, or the opening chapter of a larger story about BTS's return after military service? Herein lies the greatest strength of the Arirang logo. It offers no answers. It provides only clues. And within BTS's fandom culture, clues are often far more meaningful than direct statements. This logo becomes an emptiness filled with meaning, a loud silence, and a minimalist design that triggers maximum emotion. Jungkook may never speak that message verbally, but for many fans it has already been read and is impossible to forget. If at first glance the Arirang logo appears to be a calm and restrained visual experiment, then on the second and third look it begins to behave like a mirror. The question shifts, no longer asking what this logo means, but rather why its meaning feels so closely aligned with the collective emotions of fans right now. This is where many ARMY begin to realize that the primary strength of Jungkook's design lies not in what is shown, but in what is never spoken. And it is precisely this absence of words that creates such a vast space for emotional resonance. In the tradition of visual art, especially those rooted in Eastern philosophy, silence is not emptiness. It is breathing room. Jungkook, consciously or not, seems to be drawing on this principle. The Arirang logo does not force interpretation, does not explicitly steer a narrative, yet offers just enough clues for anyone who sees it to feel compelled to connect it with their own personal experiences. For BTS fans, those experiences are inseparable from the group's long journey. A debut filled with doubt, a period of global acclaim, and an emotionally charged hiatus brought about by mandatory military service. Here, the symbol of the circle once again becomes central. In many cultures, the circle represents an eternal cycle. No beginning, no end. When the Arirang logo presents circles that appear separated yet remain visually connected, some fans read this as a depiction of BTS's current phase. They are not standing together on one stage, not filling group schedules in full, yet they still exist within the same orbit, physically apart but never truly broken. Meanwhile, the lines and angles inspired by the letter invite another interpretation that is no less emotional. A line is a journey. It does not rotate in place, it moves forward. In the context of BTS, this journey can be read as each member's individual phase. Solo albums, personal projects, explorations of identity beyond the group's monumental name. Yet those lines remain within the same composition as the circles, as if suggesting that these personal journeys are not a betrayal of unity, but part of the process toward a more complete form. The question that then arises among observers is this: was Jungkook fully aware of these layers of meaning, or do they emerge from the meeting point between the work and its context? In popular culture studies, the answer is often blurred. A work never exists in isolation. It always interacts with the social, emotional, and historical circumstances around it. The Arirang logo appeared at a highly specific moment, when BTS is in a collective pause and fans are in a prolonged phase of waiting filled with longing. Under such conditions, even the smallest symbol can turn into an emotional anchor. The use of red and blue further reinforces this reading. In the Taegukgi, red and blue are not merely national colors, but representations of complementary duality. Dark and light, active and passive, separation and reunion. When these colors appear in the Arirang logo, many fans see them as a subtle acknowledgement of the reality BTS is currently facing. That temporary separation is part of balance, not the end of the story. Within this framework, mandatory military service is no longer read as a rupture, but as a dark phase that inherently carries the promise of light ahead. The name Arirang itself carries an emotional weight that is difficult to ignore. This folk song has long been a symbol of journey and loss in Korean culture. It is often sung in contexts of farewell, suffering, and hope for the return of loved ones. When Jungkook chose this name, or at least became associated with it through his visual project, many fans felt that the choice could not possibly be accidental. Arirang speaks of leaving and returning, of traveling far without forgetting home. And is that not a narrative deeply aligned with BTS's current phase? Notably, Jungkook never positions himself as an explicit narrator of this meaning. There is no official statement saying, "This is about BTS," or "This is about a reunion." What exists is simply a work that is allowed to speak for itself. In an increasingly noisy world, this stance feels like a gentle form of resistance. Jungkook seems to place full trust in the fans to discover the message, if they are ready to see it. The emotional response of ARMY to this logo demonstrates how strong that trust truly is. Many describe feeling touched without knowing why, a reaction that, in aesthetic psychology, often emerges when a work successfully reaches layers of meaning that are not fully conscious. The Arirang logo does not force tears, but it invites a silence heavy with feeling. It does not shout nostalgia, but allows it to surface slowly, almost imperceptibly. The decision by the @JK_Steam account to frame this analysis as part of a series of 3 posts adds yet another narrative layer. The number 3, visually echoed in the logo's 3 circles, begins to be read as a deliberate structure. Is this merely an aesthetic coincidence, or a metaphor for past, present, and future? For BTS before military service, during the hiatus, and after reunion? There is no definitive answer, but once again, that uncertainty becomes fuel for discussion and speculation. To this point, the Arirang logo has moved beyond its function as a visual identity. It has become a medium of dialogue between Jungkook, BTS, and the fans, a dialogue without words, in which each party brings their own emotions into the reading of the symbol. And perhaps this is the quietest yet most radical power of the work. It does not instruct anyone what to feel, but opens a space in which those feelings can emerge on their own. This chapter closes with an important realization increasingly acknowledged by many fans, that sometimes the greatest messages are delivered without announcements, without press conferences, without sound at all. Jungkook did not say it out loud, but within the silence of the Arirang logo, many ARMY feel they have heard something unmistakably clear, something unfinished, something still in motion, and something that, in the end, they believe will return to its starting point. Together did I in the end. Perhaps the most honest question raised by the Arirang logo is not about what Jungkook wants to say, but about why fans are so ready to listen. Within every line and curve lies a reflection of the collective emotional state ARMY is currently experiencing. Waiting without a certain date, longing without physical presence, and learning to trust time as the only teller of truth. The logo appears like a whisper that can only be understood by those who have walked a long journey alongside BTS, from fragile beginnings, through the peak of global popularity, and now into an unavoidable phase of pause. In this context, Jungkook is not merely a visual creator, but something akin to a curator of feelings. He does not dictate how fans should interpret the work, but instead provides a symbolic vessel spacious enough to hold longing, anxiety, and optimism all at once. This is why the logo feels so personal to many people, despite its visual minimalism. It functions not as a statement but as an invitation to remember that the journey is not over, that the moving line still exists within the same circle. In popular culture discourse, works like this often reveal their true value only over time. Meanings that feel speculative today may later become clear in retrospect. When BTS eventually stands together on stage again, many fans may look back and see the Arirang logo as one of the earliest clues, a subtle signal that once felt vague, but later reads as part of a larger narrative. In this sense, the logo functions like an emotional archive, preserving the collective feelings of a transitional period. Its connection to Korean culture further deepens this resonance. Arirang, as a folk song, has long been a symbol of resilience and hope in Korean history, often sung amid hardship and separation. By associating his visual project with this name, Jungkook seems to place BTS's journey within a longer line of cultural narrative. This is not only about a modern idol group, but about a universal story of leaving and returning, of sorrow that is not final, and of identity that remains intact even as it changes. The intensely emotional public reaction to this logo demonstrates how strong the symbolic bond between BTS and their fans truly is. For many ARMY, interpreting the Arirang logo is not merely an intellectual exercise, but a way of maintaining connection. In the physical absence of the members, small symbols like this become substitutes for conversation, proof that communication is still taking place, even if in a quieter form. Interestingly, it is that very quietness that makes the message feel more authentic. There is no announced release schedule, no massive marketing campaign, just a logo, shared by a fan account, that then grew into a space for global discussion. In an entertainment ecosystem often driven by strategy and calculation, moments like this feel almost organic. And perhaps precisely because of that organic quality, many people feel that the message they perceive comes from the heart, rather than from calculation. At this point, the Arirang logo no longer stands alone. It becomes part of a story about how a group and its fanbase learn to face a pause without losing meaning. Jungkook never states anything explicitly, yet the silence he leaves behind is filled with resonating voices of interpretation. And among all the speculation, analysis, and emotional reactions, one common thread emerges clearly: the belief that this separation is not an ending, but part of a cycle that as time continues to move forward and the days toward BTS's reunion draw closer, the Arirang logo may be remembered as a small symbol of a significant phase, a reminder that even in silence communication still occurs, and that hope is not always announced with words. Sometimes it is simply drawn in circles and lines in a simplicity heavy with meaning.